welcome back to the studio. And it is now the month of November. Bear with me here. I'm just leveling out my phone here so everything is straight. Let me refresh my laptop screen. Just want to make sure everything is good here. Whoops, too much. I found this really cool leveler. It's a little 3-inch acrylic one that has the blue liquid in it. So perfect. It was inexpensive, and it works perfectly for leveling the phone so everything looks kind of straight. So everything looks like it's kind of lined up here. Let me bring my light in some. Okay, so yeah, now it's the month of November. So every month, on the first of the month, at least I try for the most part, on the first of every month, I do a monthly Christmas card inspiration. So originally, the whole idea uh, came about, where I was going to do it in person. So anybody who was local to me who wanted to kind of do their Christmas cards throughout the year, uh, we would get together, like on a Saturdays at probably near the beginning of the month. And whoever came, all you needed to do was just supply your own cardstock, paper, embellishments, and you could use any of the stamp sets I have, the punches. I mean, I have quite a bit to choose from. And so that was a plan. However, there really wasn't any interest. At least I never had gotten anybody who reached out to say that they wanted to do this. However, I mean, there was one person, but she would come over and we would craft and all that. So, but anybody else, it didn't seem like there was any interest. I mean, I've had comments about, well, that's a good idea. However, those people, they weren't local to me. So what I had done, I was going to do in conjunction with that, but now this is the only thing that I'm doing in regards to it, is that every month I come here and I pull out, you know, a stamp set or a bundle, or it could be a suite, and I create two fairly simple duplicatable cards that you can create. And again, you can create your cards throughout the year. So as you get closer to December, you have your cards done. Now, the products that I use, they may range from being something that's retired to something that is current. So what I am using tonight, or today, actually, when I'm recording this, what is it, last Sunday night? So yeah, so the days and the nights and all that are they all jumbled together. But anyway, so what I am using is something that is current. It is the Winter Scenes Cling Stamp Set. This came out in, when did it come out? It came out recently. Was it the July or August? August, September, no. September? Maybe September. The September online exclusive. So every other month, there are new products that come out. And so the pre-order for those new products and the online exclusives was the same month that we demonstrators were able to do a pre-order out of the new holiday mini catalog. And to try and remember which is in a catalog, which is online, it can get kind of confusing because between the two, there's a lot of product to try and remember where it's located. So the winter scene stamp set, as you can see, you have four different images in here. There's no greetings in here at all. So for one of my cards, I am adding a greeting to it. So I am pulling in Snowflake Kisses. Now, Snowflake Kisses, uh, again, this is where it gets confusing because I did a pre-order out of both online exclusive and in the mini catalog. And I'm thinking that this was in an online exclusive as well, or maybe it was in the mini catalog, maybe in the mini catalog. It does come with, I believe, a set of dies as well, but I am just using this Let It Snow greeting here for my second card. So, but primarily this video is going to be featuring the Winter Scenes stamp set. So with that, let's go ahead and get started because our cards we are going to be doing some coloring. So that's going to take a little bit. Now, one thing that I do want to make mention, I don't know if this is something that you may have or not, but last year, let me just go and grab something really quick. So last year, I had purchased the color cube. And so this one, which one is this one? This one is volume 1, and then there's also a volume 2 as well. So when it came to trying to design my cards, I have neglected this box for the longest amount of time. So just to give you an idea about these, I'm just going to pull out this last card here. So there's 250 cards in each of these cubes. And so it'll have an image and then it'll have, kind of like a color swatch of the colors in that image. And then on the back, it kind of gives you some variegation of that color, and then they also has the hex codes on it. So when it came to designing these cards and trying to figure out, okay, what color scheme, what color combination I wanted to use, I reached for these cards. Now for this one in particular, let me see. Let's see if I can bring it up. Hold on. Is this the one? Man, these are really tight in here. And it turns out that she's come out with another 2 volumes. And I think this is the one I used. No, that's not the one I used. I used this one. This is the one I used. I was close. 148. So I looked through the cards that I have, and actually when you purchase that, you can also get the the whole color catalog as a digital, so you can search for certain themes and all that for your color combinations. And then from there I just pulled the card out of the box instead of like pulling the stack out and then going through each one of them. So what I did for this particular card, I looked at the colors here and I went through my current Stampin' Up! Stash of ink colors and cardstock, and I pulled the colors that I felt came close to the colors that are on here. So this dark teal, to me, it's like, okay, Secret Sea was really close. Now the one color that you see in here that's not on here is Cherry Cobbler. When it came to the other colors, I kind of used some of these colors in the coloring. And this artichoke here, Mossy Meadow, was what kind of came up the closest to it. So, yeah, it could go as far as garden green as well. That would have worked as well. But yeah, I just kind of like I pulled the colors and I stamped my image. I colored it in using these colors. But then I thought, okay, now what do I want to do for this? So I went with colors primarily that were in here. But then I also added like this little pop of this cherry cobbler. And I just think that these 3 colors go together very, very well. So So yeah, if I'm working with product like a bundle, an individual stamp set, where there's no designer series paper, unless it's part of a suite, I'm gonna get better and I'm gonna start referring to these cards for for inspiration. It's one way of helping to put together cards and having more options, to find color combinations. Now, like I said, Sarah Renee Clark, she's the one that came out with these color cubes. And there, for the longest amount of time, there was a volume 1 and 2. Well, now she's got a volume 3 and 4. And then there are some of the cards, the color combinations that are from, I think both volume 1 and 2, that have kind of like retired, and she replaced it with new color combinations. So yeah, I did break down and I did purchase that. I will tell you, it's not a cheap purchase. But what I like about it is that even though those aren't Stampin' Up! Colors, I can take what I see and I can try to go as close as I can with what we have available. So I used that, just to say I had used that as my inspiration as far as my color theme went on this card. So for my card base, this is Secret C, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Secret C is definitely one of those it's a new in color, and I definitely love, 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 love that color. Then I have a panel of Cherry Cobbler. This measures 5 by 3 3/4. This designer series paper, this is part of the Floral Charm designer series paper. Let me pull that out. So that's kind of like what that paper looks like. It's an online exclusive. This was a suite that coordinated with a paper pumpkin kit as well. So the colors in this paper are Berry Burst, Blackberry Bliss, Mossy Meadow, Night of Navy, Pretty Peacock, and Timid Tiger. So I was really looking for something that had a background, like just a solid pattern that was in the Mossy Meadow color. So you can see the paper has some variegation in it with some light and dark. So that was perfect for that. And then I have a scrap piece of basic white. This is what I'm going to be doing my stamping on. And I'm going to punch it out. And, well, I'm going to color it in and then punch it out. So I'm going to start with folding and burnishing my card base. Now these cards that I am making, usually when I do these ones on a video, I don't have like an insert piece to it, so I'm not stamping on the inside. But when you're using dark colored cardstock, you do want to use like a neutral color, something like white, or maybe very vanilla, or even basic beige. Something light that you can stamp your greeting in there. You can write your greeting in there, and you'll be able to see it. I'm going to take my designer series paper and I'm going to adhere this to my cherry cobbler. And there's just going to be that little bit of a border. I think this color combination works very, very well for a Christmas card. All right, now I'm going to bring in some dimensionals and we're going to pop this up on our card base. And I want to put a few more. I don't want my card to sag. Okay, remove these. It's hard to believe that, well, when you're watching this, when this schedules to post, it's November 1st. I mean, of course, it's, what is it? It's October 26th when I'm recording this, but in general, it's hard to believe that it's already November And Christmas is going to be, I mean, yeah, time has flown really, really fast this year. And it's just hard to believe that it's almost Christmas time already. But what's crazy is that, I live here in Memphis, and this past week it's finally started to cool down. Like today we had some rain. I mean, the temperatures were like in the upper 50s, maybe 60s. And I tell you, it was just wonderful. I had my window open for as much as I can. Of course, when it was raining, I couldn't have the window open at that point, but it was really, really nice. It's to me, it's the perfect crafting type of weather. Your rainy, cloudy, breezy, cool days. Yeah, that really inspires me to really get some crafting done. And I'll tell you that these past few weeks, especially for the month of October, I have been really doing good, like on the weekend, like on my weekends, on getting my video content like done, filmed, and kind of scheduled. And then even having the stuff for my Friday night lives, having that all done, and not, last minute being up late at night, trying to figure out, you know, what am I going to do? Because that's never good to do that. Okay, so I have the image here that has the cabin and the tall pine trees behind it. And I'm going to stamp that in early espresso ink. And I'm going to stamp this in the middle of this cardstock. So I have it going vertical. And I'm going to stamp that right in the middle. Again, this is going to be punched out. So if I do it in the middle, I know that I'm going to have plenty of room. Okay, so then to color this in for my cabin, I'm going to use the dark and light pecan pie. For my trees, let's see here. My trees, I did not use Old Olive in here, so why do I got Old Olive in here? Oh, for the other card, duh. Light and dark mossy meadow. Yeah, my brain ain't functioning very well here. Let's see, what else do I got? I have light cherry cobbler, and let's see, we're not using that for this one. We do have dark cloud cover. Cloud cover is another new in color that I'm really, really liking this. I know it's kind of crazy, but this is just like how I am. I don't mind cloudy days. I don't mind rainy days. Again, that just, it just brings a feeling that's, I want to do some crafting and just kind of chill, relax, hear the rain. And it's just, but unfortunately, and sometimes when it's doing that, I have to be at work. So that it makes that a little bit hard. But, um, but yeah, cloud cover is definitely a good color for doing your sky. And actually, I'm going to start with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, now when I go around, um, like my trees and everything, I want to have like a light touch with it because the image is kind of small. And I want to try to avoid, like I just did right there, try to avoid getting any of this color in those white areas on the tree because that's snow. And we don't want that colored. So I'm just gonna have some brush strokes of the color and just kind of coming out a little bit further of the image. Again, I want to color this first and then go ahead and punch it out. And by coloring it like this first, then you don't have like any of those like harsh type lines when you get like to the edge of the cardstock. So I'm going to kind of come up a little bit here. And again, go with the real, see, that happened again. I went to color this in, colored my sample card in, and I was trying to be very, very careful, and it still managed to go where I didn't want it to go. So just go around these branches. Okay. I really like this color. This and Secret Sea too. Both of those colors are like my favorite as far as these new in colors are. And these colors came out, what was it? Why am I coloring on this? I don't want to color on that. Let me bring in scrap paper here. It's a small image too, so okay, so now let's just, all right, so there's our sky. So your sky is never going to be just like an even color, you know, there's always like your little variegations, you have light and dark. But to me, yeah, this color is definitely the perfect color for doing, you know, like a cloudy sky. All right, and then this is going to dry a little bit lighter, again, once it dries. All right, so this little tree right here, I'm going to color that in using light mossy meadow. And so there's like no snow on these branches, so I can color the whole thing in. And if any of the cloud cover had gotten in the tree, then it's fine because I'm going over it with a darker color. It's just in here you have like these, the snow on these branches, and that's what I was trying to avoid getting any color on. Okay, so there's that tree. Okay, and then for the branches now on this, when it's stamped, it's got the early espresso ink in it. I'm going to take my dark mossy meadow, and I'm just going to kind of go over those again, trying to avoid getting any green in the snow. Okay, and then we have some snow right there, and then there's our cabin. I want to avoid getting any green on the top of that, of the roof. So I'm just going in with a light touch with the brush tip end of my marker. And then we have down here. Okay. Yeah, and I got some green in there. Now the thing is, we do have a color lifter. The only problem with using the color lifter, with some of the inks, like for example, this early espresso that I had stamped with, sometimes what happens, the ink that was used to stamp the image, it would start to bleed when you use that color lifter too much on it. So I'm going to kind of like leave that. I'm going to go over those snowy areas with my Wink of Stella. I mean, I see it, but you know, somebody else, whoever gets the card, may not even notice that. So um, yeah, so that's that. All right, so I am going to take my light pecan pie, and I'm going to do this one side of my chimney, and then I'm going to color in my cabin, and I'm going to leave the door because the door is going to be in the light cherry cobbler, so that little pop of red. And I don't want to get the snow that's covering the top of the door, which looks like some of my pecan pie did bleed into it. The image is kind of small, so I'm trying to go as light as I can with this brush tip. Okay, and now let's do the side. And then let's do the other side. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry a little bit before I come in with my dark. I do want to come in with my dark Mossy Meadow again, and there's this little tiny area over here that I'm going to add some of the green because that looks like that's part of the base of that tree. All right, then my cherry cobbler, I got to use the bullet tip because I know my brush tip is really bad. And so I'm going to kind of go light in here. Okay, so there's my door, so that kind of stands out a little bit. And then the dark pecan pie, I'm going to take, let's see, maybe I could do my brush tip on this one. And these little lines, I'm going to add. Yeah, you can't really blend these small areas because it's just too small, and you don't want to add too much ink because then it's just going to bleed outside of your stamped line. All right, so that is our coloring, and that's our cabin. Now I'm going to bring in my modern oval punch and put this in there. Now I want, let's see, want it kind of straight. So let me see here. I'm going to punch it out right about there. Okay, so there is our stamped image. Okay, so I am now going to bring in some, this is the Mossy Meadow and Gold trim. This is part of the Painterly Pears suite. That's an online exclusive item too, and that is still available. So when you look at this ribbon, one side you see more of the Mossy Meadow and some gold, and when you flip it over, you see more gold than the Mossy Meadow. So really pretty ribbon. I really, really like this. Really pretty. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my seal. I'm going to add some to the back of my punched out piece here. And I'm going to do a zigzag with my ribbon. So I'm going to unwind some. And I want this to kind of be at an angle like so. Now when I go to fold it over, you're going to see more of that gold in the background. Okay, and then loop it over one more time. And then have it come down here like so. So let me turn this over and let me do any adjusting that I need to do. So kind of bring that over some, and we can bring that over a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in my dimensionals, and we'll add some dimensionals to the back of this. And then over here to hold that down. Okay. So I'm going to take my backings off. Okay, let me get my card base. Have it the right way. Oops, that one didn't come off. All right, so now I'm going to take this, be in the center of the screen here, and I'm going to lay this down just like so. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in my ribbon cutting scissors, and I'm going to trim that like so. And so now it's just really adding our bling to our card. So for the embellishments that I'm going to use on here, these embellishments too are from that Painterly Pear suite. These are the low profile sparkle dots. So you have like a Darling Duckling, you have Mossy Meadow, and then Secret Sea. So you have some of this like iridescent like glitter that's in them, and these are low profile ones, so you won't need to add like anything over your card if you're mailing it, because these are pretty flat. So there's two different sizes in this, so I'm going to use one of my large ones and then two of my smaller ones. So we're going to continue with that green and that gold, and that didn't pick up. Okay, so there is, move this out of the way, put that back in there. So there is our first card. So have a little touch of gold, add a little sparkle, and it's not done yet. Make a Stella. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to dab some on the white areas of the tree, because we want our snow to glisten. I did this before when I did a card, and my sample cards, you know, I put Wink of Stella on it, and I went to do the video, and I got done with it, and then I look and I'm like, oh, you forgot to add the Wink of Stella. Okay, and then some for our roof to our cabin, and then our snow. Now you want to be careful doing this over that early espresso ink, because if you rub this back and forth on it too much, you're going to end up smearing that ink. Okay, and then the little tiny bit over the door, and now we have this card done. There we go. Now we got some sparkle on our snow as well. So there is our first card. Again, the Secret Sea, Cherry Cobbler, and that Mossy Meadow work very, very well together. Love that one. Pretty simple. I mean, it does have the coloring in it. Another way that you can do this too, you can stamp the image and not color it in if you wanted to also. So that would make it for an even quicker card. All right, so our second card, it has just a little bit more to it. Again, these are the type of cards that you would want to do kind of like an assembly line type of thing to it. Excuse me. My throat is like just gotten really, really dry, which probably means I'm talking too much. All right. So let's see if we can get through this second card now. Okay, so this card, my card base is Misty Moonlight. It's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. I have another piece of Misty Moonlight. This measures 3 5/8 by 3 1/4. I have a piece of Night of Navy. This measures 3 1/4 by 2 5/8. Ahead of time on the longer, on the bottom edge. So this would be what, the 3 1/4 inch side. I had stamped the Let It Snow greeting from the Snowflake Kisses. I stamped that in Versamark ink, and then I heat embossed it using the white embossing powder. So I did that ahead of time. Then I have a scrap piece of basic white. This is going to be for our stamping and our coloring. So we're going to kind of do what we did on the last card, stamp, color, and we're going to punch it out with that same modern oval punch. And then this measures 2 3/4 by 2 1/8. And this is the Silent Snowfall specialty designer series paper. I don't know if you can see that, but there's some embossed snowflakes in there. And that is this right here. You get a total of 6 12 by 12 sheets in here, and they all have that embossed snowflake on all the sheets. So they're all the same. So yeah, we're going to use that. Now this is kind of a case off of the sample card that they have in the online store when you do a search for winter scenes. This is one of the sample cards that they had made. So I changed it up just a little bit on this piece of it was a piece of basic white. What they did is they used what was it, a light Misty Moonlight stamp and blend marker, and they kind of drew lines to kind of create a designer series paper. However, when I looked at that, it's like, well, first off, I would have these really thick lines. Whatever I used as a ruler, the ink would get on that. And if I'm doing the lines, I didn't want the ink to smear. So I substituted and went with this designer series paper. Now, this paper also came out in the online exclusives at the same time that the Winter Scene stamp set came out. So this paper is still available in the online store. Okay, so let me get started here, and then let me fold in, burnish my card base. Okay, we'll set that aside. Then I'm going to stamp my image here. So we're going to stamp it on the landscape direction. And this one, I'm going to use this image right here, the one that kind of like has this little stream and these trees. Okay, let me get my block. Okay, and then this one, I'm going to stamp this in Misty Moonlight ink. Okay, and I'm going to stamp that right in the middle. Okay. All right, let me set that aside. We're going to let that dry just a little bit before we do any of our coloring. I'm going to bring in our scrap piece of paper. What I want to do is on this embossed piece of cardstock, I have a small blending brush, and of course I put my Misty Moonlight ink away. So I want to put, I don't want this to be heavy, so I'm going to just lightly brush some of this ink on this, just to let those snowflakes kind of stand out a little bit. And see, I don't want splotches like that, so that's why you want to kind of brush off some of that excess ink. Okay, so it's just a very faint amount of color that's on there. So you can kind of see the difference between that and the white. Okay, so we're going to let that continue to dry before I do anything with it. So I'm going to take this piece here, this Night of Navy, and I'm going to adhere it down to my piece of Misty Moonlight. Okay, so it goes this way. Yep. All right, so let's put that there. And let's see what we got here. Kind of do this straight here. So that's what, like 2. Using my grid paper to kind of line this up so I kind of got an even amount of space between the two. Let me just kind of shift this over a little bit. Okay. All right, so I'm going to take, let's see, there's stuff that I can do here in advance. So I am going to take this piece here. I'm going to add dimensionals to the back of this. In the center. Okay, and then I'll take this and I'm going to center the, well, not really center. It's going to be kind of centered from left to right, but there's going to be more room on the bottom than there is going to be on the top with that Night of Navy showing. Okay, so then this whole piece here, we're going to pop this up. So there's a lot of popping up on this card. Okay. Oops, throwing these paper backings all over the place, missing my little pop-up trash bin. All right, and then this is going to be centered like so. Okay, so that's that part. Let's see, I can do this part too. I'm going to add some adhesive right there. And then I'm going to bring in, this is the Cloud Cover Faux Linen Ribbon. So this ribbon is in all of the new in colors. And I really, really like this. It's really, it's got some texture on it. It's got some shine to it. And it's just, I really, really like this ribbon. All right, so I am going to take this and put this in my adhesive like so. Actually, let me fold it a little bit more so I go to the end. I'll place this in the middle like so, and just kind of press that into the ink. And then I'll bring in my scissors and trim this at an angle. Like so. So basically our card base is ready to, just needs the part, the image that get colored in, punch it out, pop it up on there, and then add some iridescent pearls and also add some Wink of Stella to the snow on this one. All right, so now for this one, I'm going to bring in my dark cloud cover again for my sky, and then my light and dark Misty Moonlight for the water, and then let's see, dark Old Olive and light Granny Apple Green. Okay, so I'm going to start off with, let's see, what do I want to start off with? Let me start with my water first. So gotta really pay attention to where I'm coloring here. So there's kind of like these snow-covered rocks that are in this stream. Some of the blends seem to be inkier than some others. And so even though I'm going with a very light touch, it just seems like I'm getting more ink than what I want. And some areas are getting that ink where I don't really want them. So again, I'm kind of extending this out because I don't know exactly. When I go to line the punch up on here, I want to make sure that all my areas are kind of covered. There's a rock right there. All right. And it's weird, my with my Misty Moonlight, it's like the light and the dark, the shading it's kind of off a little bit. And because it's almost like as if, okay, this color looks almost like a grayish blue. And the dark looks more of a, almost like a little bit of a greenish blue. But I'm going to let this water dry before I add any of the dark over in some of this the spots, because if I add more ink now, it's just going to bleed into everything, and I just want that to dry first. Okay, so I've done that part. Now I'm going to come in with my cloud cover, and again I'm going to get around these trees, trying to avoid not getting the snow covered parts of it. So kind of go around. Okay. Okay, come around over here. And something like this too, you wouldn't necessarily end up, you know, mass producing something like this with all the, if you were doing it just like this with all the, all of the coloring on it. And again, you can also just stamp this in the Misty Moonlight and you can leave it as that. Okay, so just gonna do my sky here. Kind of come up a little bit higher because again, once I line it up in the punch, I want to make sure that I got enough areas covered. Okay. It's getting a little warm. Hold on a second. Went the whole day with no fan or anything on, but now I'm doing this and now I'm starting to get a little warm. Okay, so then I want to take my light granny apple green and I'm going to color in this tree right here. So this one doesn't have like any snow caps on it. Okay, and then some of these little like branches and whatnot that are kind of poking out, I'm just going to add just a couple little lines. Let's see, a little bit here. Just do a little bit, and then I'm going to come in with my dark old olive and kind of fill in too. All right. And again, letting that dry a little bit because I'm going to go over with my dark old olive. Okay, so then I'm going to come in with this. Again, I'm going to kind of go over little like blades of grass or whatever that are coming through the snow. And then the tree, come in just like on that first image that I did. I'm basically coloring over those Misty Moonlight needles. Okay. And then these little trees that are in the background, I'm just gonna squiggle a little bit of this dark old olive over them. I think so. So our trees are green and not blue. All right. Now the water part. So these lines are a little hidden with that, but you can see that this color is just a little bit different. I think anyway. The light and the dark Misty Moonlight seem to be just a little bit different. All right, so I just want to add a little bit of dark in there as well. Okay, so there is our colored image. And then let's get our punch. And this time we're going to punch this out. Oh, I missed a spot. Hold on. Get my dark old olive. I'm just going to add a little bit in this tree. Like so. All right. Now let's punch it out. Let's see. We want to go over a bit. And punch it out. So there is our image. Okay, and then I'm going to take my dimensionals, add them to the back. And then we'll pop this up right on top of our ribbon. Okay, bring our card in. And then we're going to kind of like center this about here. Okay, and then the embellishments on this one, I'm going to use, these are the Iridescent Pearls Basic Jewels. These are in our annual catalog. Now, I have on this one a lot of the smaller ones, so for this card, I'm just going to stick with the small ones. And place one down there. And then I'll add two more up here. Okay, and then we're going to add some Wink of Stella on the snow for this one too. Get that out of the way. Alright, and again, for this too, I want to be careful adding it around the Misty Moonlight ink because that will smear as well. I want to try and keep my snow here white and not have it be blue. Okay. There. And then on our tree. Okay, I think I got everything. It looks like it. Okay. There we go. There is the second card. So cute cards, fairly quick to assemble them. The only time consuming part of doing these is doing the coloring. Again, if you wanted to, you can just stamp the image and not color them at all. Yeah, but I really like how they turned out. I really do like that cloud cover for the sky. So definitely shows like a winter type of sky. So I think that came out like really, really cool. Let me things are like a little wonky in this camera. So yeah, I'm looking at my screen and it's way wonky. Wow. Okay, so yeah, so there is the two cards for this month's monthly Christmas card inspiration. There are plenty more videos that I have in this series. Just go to my playlists, and I do have one that says monthly Christmas card inspiration. And again, every at the beginning of every month, I do two fairly simple duplicatable. I know this is a little bit more work, but if you like doing the coloring and all that, yeah, maybe this is a card that you don't make as much as you would on the other ones. Um, so so that's this, and there's going to be plenty more Christmas card inspiration coming up. We're in November now, starting November, so I have a lot of Christmas product from both the online exclusives and in the holiday mini catalog. So yeah, so there's going to be more inspiration, but those cards may have a little bit more to them. So stay tuned for that. Let's see. So other than this monthly Christmas card inspiration that I do, I also have Throwback Thursdays and Friday Night Lives. My Friday Night Lives, what I do at the end of my live, I do a giveaway for the cards that I made that night. And we have like a fun bunch that join me every Friday night. Always look forward to that. Um, then, when Paper Pumpkin ships, whenever I get it, I do a video where I do an unboxing and then I assemble like one of each of the projects that are in that kit. What else is there? Um, and then every once in a while, I may do like a bonus type video. So, like World Card Making Day, I did one. As a matter of fact, the Saturday before Halloween, I did one with that Haunted Home kit. So, I assembled that. Kind of did something a little bit different than the instructions on what Stampin' Up! Gave. Instead of doing the hot glue gun, I put it together using a lot of tear and tape, and it seems to be working just fine. So I got that done before Halloween. So every once in a while, I'll have like an extra video on here. So with this particular video, there is like a total of 306 videos now on my YouTube channel. So there's lots of variety and options out there for you if you need some inspiration with any of the stamp sets that I used that you may have. Also, like my Friday Night Lives, I also have a free PDF that you can download if you like the projects. You can download it, and there's even a link that'll take you back to that Friday Night Live in which I made those projects. So if you wanted to follow along, you got that as well. So, one other thing too is that if you would like to receive my monthly newsletter is going to have information, any promotions or anything that Stampin' Up! May have going on, anything that I may be doing. Every month, Stampin' Up! Comes out with a new kits in their kits collection. So I kind of showcase what those new kits are. uh, as a matter of fact, so this is like November 1st. If you're watching it on the day that this posted, within a couple of days, I think maybe in 3 more days, I will be sending out my newsletter. So all that information is going to be in there. One of the other things I also have in it is I have my whole video schedule for that month. So everything that I'm using on my Friday Night Lives, everything I'm using for Throwback Thursdays, my monthly Christmas card inspiration, all of that stuff is listed for each month. So if you would like to receive that, I do have a link for it in the description. When you click on that link, you just add your first and last name along with your email address. And then when I go to send out the newsletter, then you will receive it. Now, typically, I only do one. The only time I ever do more than one is if Stampin' Up! Comes out with some kind of special or promotion that we weren't aware of at the very beginning of the month when I did the newsletter. So at that point, I would send out a modified one to let you know what is kind of what's happening. Um, and what else? Well, the other thing is, if you like the projects that I had made in this video, please give the video a thumbs up, comment, like, share, all that stuff helps in me growing this channel. It helps me, like, I guess with YouTube's algorithm, it kind of puts this video out there to other paper crafters, and so it helps with growing the channel, but then it also helps me in growing my Stampin' Up! Business as well. And all the likes, the comments, the shares, all of that, the subscriptions, all of that stuff, I truly, truly appreciate it. So with that, everyone, thank you so much for taking the time to watch. And I will have another monthly Christmas card inspiration on December 1st. But then there's going to also be a lot more Christmas card inspiration now going forward, because now we are getting closer to Christmas. So there's going to be a lot of content that's going to have Christmas product in it. So until then, everybody, thank you so much again for taking the time to stop by and to watch, and I will see you in the next one. Have a blessed one, everyone. Bye bye.